big story, I think, across much of Western Canada is the air quality this morning. Again, today we are seeing significantly reduced air quality values. Air quality, again, I've said this before, it's measured like golf scores. So the higher it is, the worse the air quality is. In many cities, including around Calgary, up towards Jasper, obviously, but through Edmonton, parts of Saskatchewan, Manitoba, we're seeing those higher values through this morning, and that will persist this afternoon. We've got a weather system that's moving its way across northern Alberta into Saskatchewan, and it's bringing with it rainfall, so that will help to clear out the air quality there. But the winds are incredibly strong with this, going from the west to the east, at times up to 90 kilometers an hour through today. And so that really is going to drive smoke up into parts of Saskatchewan, into Manitoba. Much of Ontario and northern communities can expect haze by Saturday afternoon, and through Quebec as well. The lower Great Lakes, there's a different weather disturbance happening, and so that should keep the air a little fresher and the sky a little more clear. Now, in terms of temperature this morning, 21 degrees in Winnipeg, 17 for Regina. We've got 11 in Edmonton to start off the day. Temperatures very cool through the mountain parks to kick off this morning with relative humidity high. That's what we like to see in a fire situation, because it does influence that fire behavior when temperatures are cooler and when the relative humidity is approaching 95%, which it is in Jasper this morning. Temperatures through central and northern Alberta a lot cooler in comparison to what they were earlier this week and in comparison to what Winnipeg is seeing this afternoon. 31 degrees across southern Manitoba as that extreme heat continues for far southeastern Saskatchewan, southern Manitoba, and much of northern Ontario through the day today. 27 in Toronto and Ottawa, 28 for Montreal, and a mix of temperatures through Atlantic Canada, where in some areas it's going to rain today and stay in the teen temperatures. 19 today in St. John's, this band of heavier rain tracking its way eastward. That's a cold front, so in behind it, we'll see weather stabilize. The sun will come back out. New Brunswick, you'll see that first. For Newfoundland, you can expect the rain for most of the morning and early afternoon. It will clear by evening. Sunshine returns in our Maritimes right through the back end of today. And for most of Saturday, it does stay fairly clear. Now, Sunday, you'll start to see some precipitation move its way into Labrador. But that's about it. Otherwise, we've got a really nice weekend ahead for all four Atlantic provinces. It's a bit of a different story across the rest of Canada. Ontario and Quebec set to see a very hot, dry, extended forecast. We'll talk about that coming up. Plus, detail just how much rain we're expecting with this weather system over Western Canada. For now, here's a look at what you can expect today. Welcome back. Happy Friday. We are seeing this upper ridge move its way across Canada, and it has been responsible for record-breaking heat through western provinces, that hot, dry, extended stretch of about 9 days that we had of above seasonal temperatures. That's now shifting eastward, and just in the last few minutes, we had heat warnings dropped in Saskatchewan, where they persist southern Manitoba and across northern Ontario. But you see, that's exactly where the ridge is. Now, watch what happens over the coming days as upper low continues to push eastward, and the upper ridge slides firmly into Ontario and Quebec, and then eventually Atlantic Canada. So what that means for you at home is you'll see in your extended forecast, if you were in Ontario, Quebec, or our four Atlantic provinces, you'll see temperatures generally begin to rise. For Western Canada, this upper trough has been well needed in the region. Temperatures have dropped significantly. So when we look at the next 3 days, you can see 19 in Edmonton. What we'll see for the weekend forecast is an eventual warm-up. By end of weekend, Lethbridge, 29 degrees, 29 in Brooks, 29 in Medicine Hat. But with temperatures sitting a little bit cooler today, it's giving a brief break in that intense heat for areas like Jasper dealing with extensive wildfires. For Saskatchewan, for Manitoba, you're seeing it's still hot today in Winnipeg. It will still be hot tomorrow. There's a slight drop in temperatures by Sunday, but really it's Sunday evening before temperatures begin to fall back down to those seasonal values. And in BC, it's set to be a warm weekend ahead as the upper trough departs from that region. The associated surface low with it moves its way eastward. We will start to see sunshine dominate again across the BC interior, and that prompts temperatures to jump back up. Now, today in Alberta, while the upper trough sits over the region, heavy rainfall, strong winds. We've got winds up to 90 kilometers an hour in the Edmonton area, east of the city towards the Saskatchewan boundary, and heavy rainfall to the north of that, where some communities are getting upwards of 70 millimeters of rain with this event. It's a really slow mover. It takes its time departing, even by tomorrow morning this time, so full 24 hours from now. The center of the low sits well north of Saskatoon, but the back end of it drives continued rainfall through the Red Deer area, slides southward of Calgary as we head towards Saturday evening, and then eventually moves its way into northern Ontario. So that will become a story there eventually. Before that, it is sunny and dry in Ontario and Quebec today, tomorrow, and for Sunday as temperatures rise significantly above seasonal. For a closer look at today's forecast, here's what you can expect this afternoon. Happy Friday. Good morning. We have a big weather system over Western Canada, but on the eastern edge of that, the heat is pushed in, and we are seeing rising temperatures across parts of Ontario and Quebec as we go through the next 3 days. Trending above seasonal with plenty of sunshine, but as the cloud moves into northern Ontario, we will see temperatures impacted through central and northern Quebec. Saturday looks to be quite a mild day across the region, but warm. Temperatures trending in the high 20s. Now, Western Canada dealing with a couple different features at the surface. The big thing is the amount of rain moving its way in north of Edmonton. Showers impact the fire region around Jasper as well, but it's a lot less there. East of the big fires within the mountain parks, we are seeing elevated winds up to 90 kilometers an hour today. And then outside of that, departing heat as an upper trough dominates the forecast there. We'll talk more about the forecasted weekend outlook coming up in the next half hour. For now, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back. Early, it is going to be clear, a high of 21 later on today in Vancouver. Elsewhere into Alberta, the rainfall warnings persist north of Edmonton. Wind warnings east of that. Winds up to 90 kilometers an hour. Rainfall totals hitting about 70 millimeters at most. There's an upper trough that has moved through, and you can see the upper low here. A surface weather system associated with the same thing is prompting all of that active weather. Now, north of that, there is still intense heat happening through Yukon, Northwest Territories as well. Norman Wells, for example, under that heat warning through today. They've been dropped in Saskatchewan, but they're persisting in Manitoba and Ontario. And I'll have more on that coming up. For now, we'll send it back over to Anne-Marie. First, we've got a big upper ridge that's sliding over to the the eastern half of our country, and that is prompting temperatures to rise there. An upper trough sliding through the southern prairies has dropped temperatures, but while that's happening, it continues to stay hot in Yukon and Northwest Territories north of that upper low. We also have, for the first time this week, heat warnings extending eastward in Ontario, and that is going to prompt the beginnings of an extended period of hot, dry conditions. And if we look at these daytime highs, next couple of days, Dryden, 31 today, slight drop as we head into Saturday, warm again for Sunday. Similar temperatures for Armstrong, for example. For Kenora, you are going to, if you can, enjoy sitting by some water later on today. We'll also see above seasonal temperatures for Toronto, for Ottawa, for Montreal, getting up to 30 as we head towards Sunday. And we've got clear conditions as we approach our Friday afternoon forecast. We are going to see some active weather beginning to move over from the prairies as we head into the next couple of evenings. Thunderstorms are possible in far northern Ontario, north of Red Lake, as we head toward this evening. Otherwise, just variable clouds right along the boundary there. Chance of showers in central and northern Quebec. Saturday itself looks to be a good day, but just watch storms that will move over from Manitoba. Some of these will increase in intensity and could have heavy downpours, damaging winds near 110 kilometers an hour, plus possible rotation. This would be in far northwestern Ontario as we head toward the back end of Saturday. Now, in Atlantic Canada, there's that front I mentioned moving its way right through Newfoundland. Heaviest rainfall will be along the west coast this morning through the northern peninsula, but sky gradually clearing in our Maritimes. Chance of a few convective, showers as we head into the afternoon in both PEI and Nova Scotia, but otherwise quieter there. The rain in Newfoundland will last until like mid-afternoon, then that moves its way out, and the weekend ahead looks to be a nice one. Starting off with sunshine on Saturday for the west coast of Newfoundland, parts of Labrador, Avalon Peninsula, you take a little longer to clear. Some areas in the south will stay fairly overcast right until evening, but St. John's, you should see a return to sun as you hit the afternoon. And then Sunday looks to be a fairly mild day as well. Coming up, we'll take you through the extended forecast in Western Canada. We have rainfall warnings, wind warnings, and air quality statements to discuss. That's coming up. But for now, here's your local forecast. Not just in Western Canada, but also south of the border as well. All of that pollution really contributing to haze that exists across Canada. In terms of temperatures across our beautiful country, it is 19 degrees in Halifax, 19 for Fredericton. Montreal, good morning. It's 19 as well, 19 in Toronto. Cooler start to the day in Thunder Bay, but just in behind that, we have very warm temperatures this morning. 21 right now in Winnipeg, looking for a high of 31 later on this afternoon with added on humidity. 27 for Thunder Bay, Ottawa, and Toronto. 28 in Montreal. Good morning. 19 ahead for St. John's. You've got rain there. And Vancouver, a very sunny day ahead with 22 degrees this afternoon. Now compare that to areas farther east. We've got a lot of active weather happening across the prairies. Rain is persisting outside of the Edmonton area. In terms of the rainfall warning here, it is extensive. Anywhere between 40 to 70 millimeters of rain is possible. Some of that rain fell in Jasper overnight. They were forecasted to see 20 to 40 millimeters of rain, perhaps another 5 this morning. So just a wee bit ahead, but still any precipitation is appreciated. Cooler temperatures as well this morning, single digits. That means the relative humidity in the area and the atmosphere is sitting at about 95%. Winds there in Jasper are calm. East of that, within this wind warning, we could see winds gusting up to 90 kilometers an hour through end of day today. It's all from this weather system that is really centered over Saskatchewan by the time we hit mid-afternoon. Now that's going to drive active weather across much of Manitoba as we head toward the back end of today. This is a really slow moving system. So even by early morning tomorrow, the rain is still present through communities like Red Deer heading westward toward the Banff area. Jasper's a little bit farther north, staying in cloud, but eventually that clears. And once the precipitation is out of the region, it is much drier heading into the weekend. Now, overnight, Saturday into Sunday, we are set to see very active weather across southern Manitoba into northern Ontario. These storms here could prompt heavy downpours, damaging winds, possible hail, but also rotation. I'd say east of Winnipeg, we're at a high risk for severe thunderstorms that could produce tornadoes. Important to remember, not every thunderstorm will produce any type of activity like that, but it is possible. So the best thing to do is to have a weather app downloaded on your phone. Weather Can would be the best one I would recommend, and have your push notifications on so you're getting any alerts sent directly to you. They'll often know exactly where you are so they can send you those customized alerts. That's your best bet to know if that active weather is happening. Remember, a 10-minute ahead of time warning for any sort of tornado is considered good lead time. 10 minutes, that's it. So you'll want to make sure they're coming directly to you. Now, in addition to all that active weather, smoke is obviously present across the region. That haze stretches eastward across Ontario and Quebec as we go throughout the weekend. So it's very possible we'll see reddish tinge to the sun, both at sunrise and sunset. And then in addition to that, we have excessive heat persisting for Yukon, Northwest Territories, Manitoba, and stretching eastward across Ontario. That's brand new for today. The hot, dry weather in Ontario lasts throughout the weekend with rising temperatures as we head towards Saturday and Sunday. You can see that reflected with the 3-day forecast across northern Ontario. But even across the rest of Ontario and Quebec, it's set to be very hot for the next couple of days as we head toward the weekend. That's a look at your national forecast. Now, here's something a little bit closer to home.